the harbinger. And it's mysteries now for us to understand what is God saying and what is God doing. And you can get the whole set of that too. God has given him so many writings, and he's literally been called to reach this generation.
Yes.
And I'm so grateful to have Rabbi Jonathan Cahn back with us today.
Yes, we are.
Do you believe God will disclose what is to come in the future? It's there, isn't it? And you keep finding the secrets because they're there.
They're there.
They've always been there.
Yes.
But the disclosure of them, what does it take for us to hear God like you hear God?
Well, all of us, an open heart, and to seek him. It says, seek my face. If we don't seek him, how can we find? Seek his face, and I will show you. Call to me, and I will show you great and mighty things you know not of.
You have a church, or a temple, in New Jersey.
Wayne, New Jersey, about 20 minutes from New York City.
Beth Israel.
Beth Israel, the Jerusalem Center.
Mondo, give me one.
I'll give you a fact.
One fact. You got a fact?
Yeah, I have a fact right here. Let's talk about this right here. We haven't talked about this since Rabbi's been here.
One of the best-selling books of all time.
That's right. New York Times best-selling book. Almost of all time, probably, of Christian books, right, Rabbi? I'm pretty sure it really is. And The Mystery of the Shemitah together have sold over 2.5 million copies. That's incredible. Now, The Harbinger is where it all began, right, Rabbi?
Yes.
And I can remember being, we were in our private dining after you were here. You actually, the first time anybody saw The Harbinger was here on this broadcast.
First time I ever saw it, and the first book I ever signed was to you and Jim.
It was. It was. And such an honor.
How long has it been on New York Times bestseller list?
Well, it began at that time, that I guess January when it came out of 2012.
Right.
You know,
exactly.
about 100 weeks or something.
100 weeks on the bestseller list.
Yeah.
That is an amazing thing.
Exactly. And Rabbi, here's the other thing: is God has opened doors for him, and he walks through those doors. And I know, Rabbi, he's been sick. He's had to fight the flu or whatever like that. And what happens is he opens doors for you, Rabbi, and you go and I know that you speak at before the Congress. You have spoken right there in like Statutory Hall, right? I mean, have you ever been to Statutory Hall at the Capitol? If you haven't, you need to see that. It's amazing, isn't it?
United Nations, I know that.
Exactly. But to go and speak in front of these people.
Capitol, right there at the Capitol.
It's pretty awesome. I'm sure.
Yeah.
What that time with the Lincoln, you and Lincoln spoke. Well, he was dead.
Yeah, well,
but at the Lincoln Memorial.
That's where Lincoln was when he was in the House. You know, that's where after the inauguration, that's where they all go and have their thing there.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, that opened up. I mean, that was amazing. It's been every year, but that's opened up because of the Harbinger, because someone saw me on television talking about it.
That's right.
And they said we have to do something, and the Lord just opened up. So every year they have this service in the Capitol for members of Congress and leaders. So I know it's a God thing. And when you go in there, you know, I've shared this. You know, I just have to. I cannot hold back there because I don't know how long that will be. And you know, you just have to do what God says, and that's, you know, it's a prophetic moment. God wants us to speak to powers and to thrones.
Absolutely.
One of my favorite things about Rabbi was that you were a host of a radio show called The Two Jewish Boys.
Two Nice Jewish Boys.
Two Nice Jewish Boys.
Years. I was asked. Yeah, that's how the person. It wasn't my show. It was someone else. But when he's the one who asked me. A great dear friend asked me to come into ministry to lead the congregation. And he also had this program in New York. It was known very well, a live crazy program called The Two Nice Jewish Boys. So I came in for that in the ministry. Yes,
I love it.
And we used to get Orthodox Jews calling, and everybody, you know, Muslims calling, and it was wild.
But that was right on cutting edge, because you guys would discuss topics that most people would not talk about.
Yeah.
And I love seeing the pictures. And, you know, he went out to be with the Lord now and passed away, right? But you travel all around the world, and you've been in India, you've been in Haiti, Honduras, I mean, Brazil. I mean, if once you read the stories about you in Brazil, and even one of my favorite prophecies that you had was in Cuba.
Yes.
That is an amazing story.
I will say something, but I won't say it now because it's so much. It's a whole other thing. But what just happened, Fidel Castro, since we last were, his reign, it ended, after he was in power for, almost half a century. But there was a prophetic thing that had to do when I came down there, and something I gave him that we realized afterwards, and God knows, gave the exact time of the end of his reign.
Wow.
And I won't, it's too much to share now.
Oh,
God didn't,
Rabbi.
Amazing things in Cuba. I'll share maybe next time.
Yeah.
But
You got to do.
Yeah, I will. It's an amazing story of what God did, prophetic.
Don't go away. We'll be right back after this special message.
We put together this family gathering bundle.
Right.
Okay?
Yes.
And it's only $450.
Yes, sir.
Right.
And so that is a year and 4 months.
Yes, sir.
That is a tremendous saving. And when you get this food, you get a fruit variety bucket, 199 serving. You get a vegetable variety bucket, 109 servings. You get the gluten-free black bean bucket, 215 servings. You get the Fiesta bucket, 196. That's the whole Mexican bucket.
Yes, sir.
Right.
And then we have the French toast kit, which was just developed last month. And so it's a $925 value. So you're going to save $475. And then you get this bonus of 2 boxes of each flavor of Frontier Bites.
Right.
And so there's macadamia, pineapple, coconut. There's pecan, cherry, cinnamon. There's almond, blueberry, lemon. And so you get, how many boxes of that now?
2 of each flavor.
This is a special product that's only going to be for this special week.
That's right.
That's right. It's good.
Okay, now you have the new meal extenders.
Yes.
This is a John Shorey thing. This meal extenders is 1,837 servings.
Good.
There's almost 2 years of food.
Right.
Right.
And extenders, they're like, put some water in the soup, Ma.
Yes.
Because we got company.
That's
you know,
right.
and that's what extenders are.
Yes.
And I think we ought to order one right now.
I do too. This
because
is great.
we've got lots of food stored away.
Right.
But when people drop in,
Right.
they can eat a lot.
Well, the extenders
Add
are.
some
You have to add
extenders.
some
That's right.
extenders like
Okay,
lentil bean bucket, which is 386 servings.
I could sing the Hallelujah chorus. I know I love lentils. I'm a lentil fan.
It's true.
They give me energy.
Yes.
Can't you tell?
Yes.
Okay, pinto beans.
432 servings.
Right.
So then what's the next one?
White rice bucket,
How many servings?
405.
Then what is this vegetable stew mix? 388 servings.
Yes.
So then the potato slice bucket. So what can you do with a potato slice?
Anything. Eat it. Breakfast, lunch, dinner, snack, whatever you want to do. You can fry it up. You can boil it. You can add it to stews, soups, whatever you want to do.
Okay, so here we have the new meal extenders. These are extenders.
Well, with the meal extender bundle, you also get a bonus
Yes.
as well. You receive 2 boxes of each flavor of the Frontier Bites
Yes.
that we all love so much, and that's macadamia, pineapple, coconut, pecan, cherry, cinnamon, almond, blueberry, lemon, and they are wonderful. There are only 8 ingredients in
So
these.
you're getting
wonderful
1
things.
year, 8 months of food. So for $550, and you're getting this set of 2 boxes of
And 6
each,
pouches.
2
comes
boxes of
in
each flavor
each
Frontier
box.
Bites.
So call 1-888-988-1588 or write us today at P.O. Box 7330, Branson, Missouri 65615, or go to the website jimbakershow.com.
Yes.
And today we're going to be talking about Jezebel,
Yes.
the wife of the
Are we
king.
ready- are we
Would
ready
she
for
be
this?
Queen
We're ready.
Jezebel?
Are we ready for? Yes, she was.
We're
Are
ready.
we ready for this?
Yes.
Okay. Let me just say this, because I want to say it each time. At least this: that we are not ever to make anybody our enemy. We are to pray for all people who are against the Bible in their actions. This is we have to. This is not saying that the people in there are the same, but they are following a template as in the same way as Israel's fall, this links to how America has fallen from God. So having said that, okay, so we've been looking at the mystery of the kings, which is the first time I'm sharing this outside of Beth Israel, and that is that there's a template in the fall of Israel, not only the harbingers, and that's got to actually overlaps with the harbingers, but same northern kingdom, where you're going to see this amazing parallel in the fall of America from God. You're going to see, so we looked the first time at the first one, which is King Ahav or Ahab, who was a man who was, it says, you know, the commentaries will say he was strategic, tactical, but he had some moral weakness as well, but he helped accelerate the fall of his nation, the spiritual fall. Well, we looked at what happened, and this is matching up. It's going to match up even more. In the Clinton administration, Bill Clinton was known as all that, and he accelerated abortion, accelerated all these things. He was the first president in history to come out all in favor, behind all these things, which were anti the Bible and all these things. So we had that. Now let's go to the next template. The next template is he wasn't alone. Ahab, it wasn't just Ahab, it was Ahab and Jezebel. Who was Jezebel? She was a Phoenician princess who was probably given to Ahab in marriage as probably a political alliance. Her real name was Isabel. That's we call her Jezebel, Isabel. She was raised worshiping Baal. Her father was a priest of Baal and Ashtoreth, and who actually killed the king and became king in his place. And that was her child. That's what she was raised at. And so she came to the new land. She came to Israel, but instead of adapting to Israel, she took her ways and sought to impose it on Israel. She sought to impose unbiblical ways on a biblical nation, or new morality, not against the traditional morality. And so the template of Ahab and Jezebel is a strategic but morally weak king who the Bible says was incited or goaded by his wife, provoked by his wife. She, in many ways, Jezebel was the power behind the throne in many ways. To much of the people of Israel, she was seen as a foreigner in a foreign morality. She wasn't trusted, undoubtedly, by many. And she did have an agenda there. So it was unprecedented in Israel's history, because the first time you have a co-regency, you got the king. It wasn't just King Ahab. It was Ahab and Jezebel. Major person. So here we go. And again, we love the people, pray for the people. They don't know what they're doing in this respect. But the phenomenon, here it is. In American history, we had another unprecedented phenomenon. For the first time, we had in the White House, we had not only a president, but we had, in a sense, a co-president. And they even said, you're getting 2 for 1. We had, with Bill Clinton, we had Hillary Clinton. She was centrally involved with her husband's rise. Even as early as the 70s, she's saying he's going to become the president. In the 70s, he's going to be the president of the United States. The template of Jezebel is one and I want to say also something else. It's not that every part of a template has to be the thing, but there are key signs in it. Is that a woman marries a man from a conservative land, but she brings in her own values. Well, Hillary Clinton married Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton is from a conservative land. He's from the Bible Belt. And when she came as the wife of the governor. She was seen as, really having another kind of morality. She did not take the name Clinton. She refused at the beginning. She was only Hillary Rodham. And that was seen as almost like she was imposing another morality. She was a radical feminist, and here in the Bible Belt. And finally, he was defeated as governor. And so what happened is they believed a lot of it was some of it was because of her. And so she only then adopted the name Clinton. It was only, and they got back in power. She embraced a morality that was in so many ways opposed to the clear biblical values, a new morality. She held on to that identity. In the template of Ahab and Jezebel, you have, again, this co-regency. Well, never in American history did we have this. But she actually moved into the White House and actually had an office in the White House. The aides called it Hillary Land, that she actually ruled with her husband, a co-regency. In the template of Jezebel, you have the king has a weakness about him. But the queen is considered to be the harder one, and that's exactly what you had as well. Influencing. They said that Clinton, never said no to his wife in these things. Now, it says that she goaded him or incited him. Now, one of the key things about Baal worship, and it's not that she knows it or they know it, but one of the things of Baal worship is the killing of babies. There has never been, and this is the key thing here, there's never been anybody in American history, in American, the spotlight of national politics, who has been so pro-abortion as Hillary Clinton. Nobody. Never has been. And that is the template of Jezebel. And with the people who were of traditional values, who opposed Ahab and the prophets and all that, Ahab lashed out at them, so did Jezebel, and so did Hillary Clinton, in the whole thing with this. When Clinton, when he signed those executive orders, fourth day of his presidency, wiping away all these, expanding abortion all over the place, the one who incited him to do that was Hillary Clinton. They said, their staff said, don't do it. She incited him. One of the things that Hillary Clinton was known for in the White House was to try to nationalize health care, as we know. One of the things about that was it involved abortion on demand. People don't realize it. That plan would have had that everybody was paying for abortion. In the template of Jezebel, she's trying to force the worship of Baal, which involves the killing of babies on all America. Now, again, not that she knows it here, but that's the exact template here. Now, let me say there's more about this, but let me say something. Now, you think most believers think of Ahab and Jezebel, and they think, okay, they came and then their reign ended. Didn't quite happen. What happened was the reign of Ahab ended, but Jezebel went on. And that's what we're going to see in the next template. Okay, it went on. Okay, but before that, I'm going to say something else. The template is so kind of precise that in the next time, when we come back to it in a few moments, but it's going to actually hold the key of, it's going to give the timing of these things. Okay, so we'll get to that in a few moments. Okay, all right. So that's where we are. But I wanted to share something. We were talking Mondo before, because I want to intersperse it so we go from heavy to lighter. But I was in Israel since I last came here. So I was last year. We had an interesting incident, and that is that we were on the Temple Mount, and I had the tour, about 400 believers on the Temple Mount, and the Muslim authorities kept following me around the whole time. And finally, what happened is we had a big thing, a confrontation. I spoke on the Temple Mount. I spoke of the temple. Naturally, that there was a temple here. I mean, that's kind of, And because I did, they started coming on all around me, and the Muslims threw us off the Temple Mount. And, because we mentioned that there was a temple on the Temple Mount, and this made news there. If we had tried to protest it, it probably would have been an international thing, because things happen on the Temple Mount, But it shows the warfare that is still there, and that I want to lead to something that's very important, that is prophetic. It is Jerusalem. And that's one of the things also on the album that's so important, that we know the prophetic, that Jerusalem's the center. So let me just take a break to talk about Jerusalem for a moment, and then we'll get back to Jezebel and the temple. Okay. Yeah.
This is powerful stuff.
Yeah.
It really is.
And this is stuff that nobody dares preach. And it is, and I'm telling you, I have the original notes. And the stuff in there that you're leaving out,
I can't.
You're too shocked to, not you're shocked.
There's no time.
We're shocked to go on television with it too. And but you can have the videos and get this set.
Right.
For the gift of $55, you get the 8-video set of these mysteries, and all of it's in there. This whole new revelation of the amazing experience, and we're gonna share some of it on TV, but we don't share 10% of it hardly.
Right.
Of what's in it.
Yes.
And so if you want to get that set, and find out what the detail by detail, it'll blow your mind.
It will.
We're reliving the Bible days right now. And for a gift of $55, you can get the one set. But then for the gift of $85, you get that set.
The Mysteries of Kings and More. This 8-DVD set contains incredible mysteries like The Mysteries of the Kings, Part 1 and 2, where you will learn of an explosive mystery that lies behind everything that was, that is, and that is yet to come. It links up with the Harbinger, and it has everything to do with what's happening in the world right now. In the tracing of your life, you will discover the master plan and the blueprint that exists for every moment of your life. Then open the deep and wonderful mystery of you and Jesus that will change forever the way you read the gospel in the mystery called the identical. How can you have a breakthrough in your walk, your relationships, your callings, even a breakthrough over habits and sin? Learn the specific key you need to guarantee the breakthrough in your life in the momentum secret of breakthrough. Then the answer of where we are right now, judgment or revival, what it means for your life, revealed in Josiah's window. The mystery of the Jordan will show you the secret of God, of Jesus, and your life on how to live in God's greatest blessings. You will also receive a bonus DVD called The Cup of Reeling. Jerusalem, discover why the ancient city of Jerusalem is the center of current events and the future of the world. You can also receive the Study of the Mysteries offer for a donation of $85 or more to the ministry. In this offer, you will receive the Mysteries Volume 20, The Mystery of Kings and More, 8 DVD collections, Rabbi's best-selling new book, The Book of Mysteries, and the brand new Book of Mysteries Prayer Journal. This prayer journal is the perfect companion to the Book of Mysteries. You can record your thoughts and prayers in these pages that correspond to each mystery. This book comes in a beautiful leather-like binding with the lettering impressed into the cover. You will also receive the Harbinger Man DVD as a special bonus when you order the Study of the Mysteries offer for a donation of $85 or more to the ministry. This is a value of $200.
The new Book of Mysteries journal and the beautiful Book of Mysteries, one of the most amazing books I've ever read. And it has also the Harbinger Way.
The Harbinger
a documentary
Man.
video about Rabbi and what the Harbinger's all about. And then if you want a bonus on top of that, you can ask for my video of the interview with Ronald Reagan.
Yes.
From about 35 years ago. That is so prophetic that you ought to read it now or see it now, actually.
Yes.
So you can get that for a gift of just $85
yes.
for all of this. And it's something very special. We'll go on about the Temple Mount a little more.
Let's just
Jerusalem.
Let's talk about the prophetic in Jerusalem, then we'll get back to the Mystery of the Kings. Because this is the center of everything. You know, and just since I was last here, something major happened. United Nations, America, this is Obama planned this, without any question. America abandoned Israel over Jerusalem. So what is the issue of Jerusalem? Jerusalem is the center of biblical prophecy. Everything is centering on it. That's the end game. That's the final goal. It's Jerusalem. So we need to know where we are in this. And let me just give you, in maybe 2 minutes or so, 4,000 years of Jerusalem's history. Just so you have an idea, okay? Just so you have an idea, okay? It becomes the capital of the kingdom of David. The capital, Jerusalem, becomes, all the tribes go up. It's the center of everything. The temple, Jerusalem, the holy city, Israel's beloved Jerusalem. Then comes Babylon. Babylon comes in, 586 BC, and they destroy Jerusalem, take the people captive for 70 years. They come back, and they come back under Nehemiah, Ezra, Zerubbabel, and they rebuild Jerusalem. Jerusalem becomes now, this is the second temple, second Jerusalem, and now Messiah comes. Messiah comes to Jerusalem, weeps over it, because he says, there's not one stone that's going to be left on the other, because Israel, you didn't recognize the time of your visitation, and you won't see me again until you say, Baruch haba b'Hashem Adonai, blessed is he. So here, Jerusalem, 40 years later, destroyed. Romans come in, destroyed on the same day that the Babylonians destroyed, 9th of Av, destroyed. Jewish people begin scattering them away, and then it becomes, quote, Christianized under Constantine. So now, Constantine comes in, Helena, his mother, they start identify holy sites. So they make it Christianized. That lasts for a little while, and Byzantine becomes increasingly anti-Jewish. Then from the deserts of Arabia comes the new force, and comes this merchant trader who believes he's a prophet, Mohammed. He sweeps across the Middle East, and then after Muhammad, they get to Jerusalem. The Muslims look it all over. They convert the churches where they can. Their general policy, convert it into a mosque or build a mosque right over it or buy it higher. They make it Muslim. They declare the Temple Mount is now the third holiest site in Islam. Until finally, in the Middle Ages, comes the Crusades. The Pope calls for a crusade to take back Jerusalem and take back the Middle East. Then the Muslims take it back. Saladin comes back. It becomes a Muslim ruled city again for years and years and years until, well, still comes the next power, the Ottoman Turkish Empire rises up. Now they're not Arabs, but they're Muslim. So comes the World War I, and the Ottoman Empire is drawn into the war. And so what happens is, in 1917, Ottoman Empire begins to collapse, crumble. Jerusalem, for the first time in 2,000 years, Israel comes into the hand of a power that is favorable to the Jewish people, the British Empire. But then what happens is comes World War II. And now Jewish people are fleeing for their lives from Hitler. After the war, you have Jewish people, you have the Arabs, and the Britain Empire says, we don't want to handle this anymore, gives it to this organization meeting in New York called the beginning of the United Nations. They say, you deal with it. 1947, UN votes to split up the land, make one part Arab, one part Jewish. The Jewish people say it's not what we want, but we'll accept it. The Arabs say no way. So Jerusalem will go to nobody. It will be an international city. We'll not give it to the Jews or the Arabs. So what happens is, right after, on May 14th, May 15th, Israel is proclaimed. The Arab nations come in to destroy it immediately on its birth. By a miracle, Israel survives and wins the war. And so now Israel is there. Doesn't have Jerusalem, though. Jerusalem in the war, Jordan takes it over. So what happens is the Six-Day War. 1967, miraculous. The Arab armies are gathering around Jerusalem. They're around Israel saying, we're going to destroy you. We're going to drive you into the sea. Israel takes a preemptive strike. 6 days. And in the midst of the war, Israel tells Jordan, don't join this war to destroy us. Jordan joins the war. Then all of a sudden now Jerusalem is in play. So what happens is, by a miracle, Israeli soldiers enter the Gate of the Lions. They come in under heavy fire. They get to that western wall. They weep. They break down and weep. The rabbi comes with them, and he sounds the shofar. Remember, we spoke in the Shemitah. It's the Jubilee. Remember something about that, Rabbi? It's Israel's Jubilee. They're getting back their inheritance. They're coming back to their land. You know, what was that land before, at the beginning, when David actually purchased it? It says everyone will return to their land. You know, he purchased it. It was a threshing floor. Remember that, the Temple Mount?
Yes.
In Hebrew, the word for threshing floor is goram. The rabbi who sounded it, his name was Rabbi Goran, Rabbi Threshing Floor.
That's
and
amazing.
He's the one who sounded it. So now Jerusalem is back, and they say it's back in our hands, and we will never leave Jerusalem again. That's what Israel says. The world goes crazy. UN condemns them, saying this is not your land, and they say, well, this is our land. Now they've been telling Israel since then, give back that land. You know, if you give back Jerusalem, you won't have any problems. But the thing is, before Israel had Jerusalem, you had the PLO saying we're going to destroy Israel without Jerusalem. So they say what the UN's been trying to do is undo the Six-Day War. But before that, they were trying to destroy Israel. So here it is. Now looking back at these 4,000 years, when was Jerusalem the capital of any nation for any long period of time? Only Israel. It was never the capital. The Ottomans never had it. And in fact, nobody really cared about Jerusalem for much of history. But here's the thing: the Bible says that in the last days, Zechariah 12, I will make Jerusalem a cup of reeling, and those who drink of it are going to stagger. I will make Jerusalem a burdensome stone, and everyone who tries to move it will be injured, or actually the Hebrew says will be cut to pieces. Now, how do you move a city? You can't move a city. How do you move a city? By moving its borders, moving its sovereignty, which is exactly what America under Obama unfortunately tried to do. And that resolution, it declares it Palestinian territory. Israel's occupying power. It says that Israel has no right to Jerusalem. It's it's the only nation in history, Israel, that just to build houses, they get condemned for building houses, not for war. And so it says it's a violation And so the Bible says if you try to move it, you will be injured. Now, we hope that the new president will undo that and move the Capitol and all that. But something else as well is that why is there so much controversy over this? Why? Because there's an enemy. And the enemy knows the prophecies. He knows that when the Jewish people come back to the city of Jerusalem, Messiah is on his way. Messiah is on his way. Jerusalem is the city. He clearly said it. He said, you're not going to see me until you say, blessed be he. Where did he say that? He said it to the Jewish people, but not just Jewish people. He said it to the Jewish people in Jerusalem. That means the Jewish people had to survive for 2,000 years, had to come back to Israel, and had to come back to Jerusalem to fulfill what Messiah said. Why is Jerusalem back? Because Messiah said it. Why is it back? Because Zechariah said it. Because the word of God is true. That's why we have a Jerusalem. I mean, think of all the capitals of the ancient world. You know, Babylon. Thebes. Where are they now? There's no place but Jerusalem that was back then is still here. And not only is it still here, the whole world focuses over it. The whole world hangs on it. I mean, the Bible is so true. Look at that. Just that. And why is it? Because the enemy knows. And just one little, and I cut out thousands of years, but to say one quick thing, but that's it. That's on the album.
It's on this album right here.
You've got to get all of this.
Yes.
This is history. This is why we're in Jerusalem. This is why we're in the war. This is why it is so dangerous for us to play games with the land that belongs to God.
Yes. And a spiritual thing for all of us. The Bible says that if you're born again, you are, number one, you're a citizen of Israel. That's the Bible. That's Ephesians 2. You are now a citizen of Israel. Number two, you are also a child of Jerusalem. But what does Paul say? He says, she's our mother. You're a child of Jerusalem. When you're born again, where are you born again? Well, you're born again wherever you were born again, but you're also born again in Jerusalem because that's where you were saved, in Jerusalem. The empty tomb, the cross is Jerusalem. You were born again, so you're a child of Jerusalem. And what is Jerusalem? Something about you were all there. I still remember, Mona, the first time you laid eyes on Jerusalem when we came before the tour, and I will never forget that, how we gazed over the holy city. It was like from a dream. Remember that? And you were weeping over the of it, and they were filming. You couldn't film.
I couldn't film anymore.
And the thing is, there's not, you could be there. It doesn't matter if you've never been to Jerusalem. If you're a believer, you get there. It's like you came home. That's the amazing.
Absolutely,
like you came home. People don't want to leave because it's weird, but it's like you feel home. And the thing is that the thing about Jerusalem is there's always. I remember. I think I shared once the mystery in the name. It's really, of course, Yerushalayim, and Yerushalayim doesn't mean Jerusalem. It means the Jerusalems, because there's another Jerusalem. So what it means is, whenever you look at Jerusalem, it's always more than you think it is. There's you see rocks, but there's something about it you can't even put in word. It's more than you. There's always more to it. And we are children of Jerusalem. We are His Jerusalem. So it means no matter what your life looks like, it's always more than you think. Whatever what it feels like, it's more glorious than you know. Everything is more beautiful. You are His Jerusalem. And what is the most attacked, warred over city in the history of mankind, this planet Earth? Jerusalem. Why? Not because it has any great natural resources. It's a bunch of rocks. There's nothing much there. Because it's God's. And the same way, if you are God's Jerusalem, the enemy's going to go crazy. But don't get discouraged. Don't get discouraged. It's because you are Jerusalem. And it's because of the purposes. Because God knows Jerusalem is where Messiah is coming. Jerusalem is the center of His purpose. Jerusalem is coming down from heaven. We're going to be in Jerusalem forever. All that, and you are His Jerusalem. It means when you are encouraged, being attacked, do not be discouraged. Be encouraged, because the best is yet to come. That's what it means. That's
Meaning of that word right there for this moment and our ministry and in our lives. Thank you, Rabbi.
My blessing.
Because we do all get to that point, and in our own flesh and
I'm telling you.
Flesh. And you're like, why are we being so attacked? I mean, you're kind of like, I know, because we have this opportunity to share the gospel with you, and but it's still like, God doesn't ever let up. It just keeps getting more. That's because that's it right there. Thank you.
What have you and I talked about the last few months about Jerusalem? If you guys,
I know what you're saying. Oh no, wait.
If America gets so bad that we can't live here anymore, and it could happen.
Yes.
We would like to just. We'd like. You ever heard about building a cabin in the corner of Glory Land? I'd just be happy. Jerusalem is my hometown. Ever since I've been there, first time I went there. And, for years, I had to go with you before I toured all of Israel. I got to Jerusalem, and I didn't want to go anywhere else.
Yeah.
And I'd go back and go back, and spent many, many seasons there.
Yeah.
And I have never felt so loved and welcome. Menachem Begin, when I would arrive, he had a chalet like at the airport, and he would welcome me there. But it wasn't just that. It was Jerusalem. I couldn't get over Jerusalem.
No, you can't. And it says that in the Bible. You can't get over Jerusalem because God can't get over Jerusalem, and you've got God. And so it says that if I forget thee, O Jerusalem, Jerusalem, and it says you who love the Lord, you watchmen on the wall, do not let God forget. Do not give him peace. It's one of the, do not rest. Remind him until he makes Jerusalem like a glory to the world. Its light covers the earth.
We have warned every president, the brethren and I, the ones that I've been with. I used to be the young preacher. Now I'm the old one. But whether it be Billy Graham, Oral Roberts, Rex Humber, I can name all the old. They all would warn the president, don't ever turn your back on Israel. Don't ever sell out the land.
Yes.
And our last president didn't understand it. I don't know if anybody ever got to our last president because he wasn't open.
He didn't really have the doors open.
To, Franklin Graham was not welcome at all. And here Franklin got to pray at this one.
Yeah.
But now, the president we have, you may say, boy, he's wild. Well, I think that's a word you could use. I want people to know and to pray for our president and to act right around our president as far as helping him and standing with him. This is a man, and Paula White told me this herself. She said his biggest fear is to not please God, to do something wrong in the sight of God. This is an answer to prayer that we have a president who wants to honor Jerusalem. He wants to move the capital of Israel.
The embassy. Yes.
Embassy.
Yes.
The embassy.
To the capital.
To the capital.
Yeah.
And to honor it and recognize it because nobody will dare do it.
Yeah, and he's getting a lot of
flack.
Pray for that, And the thing is that think about this: what capital in the world do people not have their embassies in?
Exactly.
Only Jerusalem.
Right.
Only it's telling you how true God is.
Why? I got one question, then we'll go on.
Yeah.
Why are people so mean? Why are people so anti-Israel, so anti-everything, dividing it, hated it? I mean, they were attacked.
Yeah.
Israel was attacked and won Jerusalem. The war, they didn't declare wars on all these
They weren't
people.
trying to take over anything. They were, again, defending.
They were trying to stay alive.
Fighting for lives. Now, when Jordan took it, and it was attacking when they took it.
That's right.
There was nothing. Now Israel, to defend itself, takes it. Said, we don't even want to get into a war with you. And it happened because.
But this is spiritual
it's
something.
spiritual.
What's going on?
It makes no sense. If you go to Jerusalem, I mean, again, Jerusalem. People who haven't been there, it's hard to put this all together. It's a bunch of rocks. There's nothing there. One side is a desert. One side is sheepland. It's a bunch of rocks. And yet there is something. Why is this the center of the world? Because God said it. God said, this is the place where I'm putting my name. And so it says all nations will come against it. And we're watching. This is
true.
It's proving the Bible what happened to the UN. I mean,
now.
It doesn't make any sense.